All right, Bucks win, Bucks win, Bucks win, and man, it feels good to say that again. Ends the 4-game losing streak. There was also a bye week in there, so it's been a while since we've had a victory Sunday, and it feels good. Listen, I think if I had to describe this game in one word, it would be fun. This was a fun win. We'll get into how much it matters in a bit, but first, hey, it is, I watch football because I'm entertained by it. It's good to see my team have a good game here. So let's get into it. What does this mean for the Buccaneers? Well, I went into this game, I went into this game thinking, what do I want to happen? I had a thought this morning before the game. What do I want to happen? I'm like, okay, well, I want this to be a blowout. I want the defense to look fixed with Jamel Dean. I want Mike Evans to get, 800 yards so he can get to 1,000, right? That didn't quite happen. We'll touch on the 1,000 yards thing in a bit. But that's what I wanted to happen. But then I said, okay, realistically, like what needs to happen? And I thought, we need to win. That's just it. Because if you lose this game, season's essentially over. You win this game, you have a chance, and it was pretty close to what I wanted. I mean, again, Mike Evans still had a big day. The offense totally looked great in this one, and they were able to, beat the brakes off of, admittedly, a reeling team. And yes, the Giants are not a great football team. The Giants, last time we saw them, they lost to the Carolina Panthers in overtime. But I will say this, okay, they did lose to the Eagles in similar fashion. It's not like every team is beating them this way, right? The Commanders only beat them by 5. The Steelers only beat them by 8. Again, granted, different quarterback. I do think Daniel Jones is better than Tommy DeVito. With all due respect to Tommy DeVito, we'll talk about that. But let's just talk about what the Buccaneers did well in this game. They ran the ball very effectively. It's weird. The running stats are kind of odd because Bucky Irving's stats look great. Rachaad White's stats don't look as good. Sean Tucker's stats don't look very good, and he had a fumble as well. It was weird because in the fourth quarter, they were just running out the clock. The Buccaneers, I don't think they threw it once in the fourth quarter. It was a game where let's get out of here. Let's keep everyone healthy, which is the smart play there. That's what they were doing. But I thought that Bucky Irving did make some real plays both in the rushing game and in the passing game. He was an important player. He had 64 receiving yards and he had 87 rushing yards. So, he was the overall leading yards getter in this game. He was only 4 yards behind being the leading receiver. We got to talk about Mike Evans, who this offense just looks different with him out there, doesn't it? And the 68 yards, so he essentially needed to average around 100 yards a game these final 7 games to get to 1,000. It's probably going to be over 100 yards now because he didn't quite meet that threshold. I don't know if it's going to happen. Maybe if he has one monster game where if he can get a 200-yard game in there, he has a chance. But part of why I don't think it's going to happen is because, or I shouldn't say I don't think it's going to happen. Part of why it's going to be tough for it to happen is teams are going to take him away. And you saw the Giants, they're like, we know your best receiver. We're going to put our best players on him. We're going to put multiple of our best players on him. And that opens up the door for other things. And the Bucs are a smart team. I think Mike Evans would say, you know what, I'd rather make the playoffs than get another 1,000-yard season. Let's make the playoffs. Let's win games. And it worked. Kate Otten was able to get a big play to him. It was a lot of Bucky Irving stuff, but Mayfield was able to make things happen. It was just a lot of players, right? Sterling Shepard made some plays. Trey Palmer had a nice catch. Payne Durham had a really nice catch. Raheem Jarrett, that was a great throw from Baker Mayfield. I thought Baker was just great in this game. Baker was making plays happen. He was rushing for plays. He was, doing the Tommy DeVito dance, which I think my one critique with Baker is I don't know if you had to do the Tommy DeVito dance, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm being a wet blanket here, but I just feel like you're, for one thing, kind of kicking a guy while he's down, and also just I think it's a bad strategy of you're essentially giving the Giants bulletin board material. You saw DeVito. He looked annoyed at that. I don't know if he saw the dance or if he was just annoyed that they gave up another touchdown. But, don't give them reason to have extra motivation. The Giants did have a nice drive starting off the second half before fumbling. But other than that, you really celebrate as much as you want if you're throwing for nearly 10 yards per attempt. No passing touchdowns. The Buccaneers had 4 different players with rushing touchdowns: Irving, White, Mayfield, and Tucker, all with rushing touchdowns. So offense, fantastic. Really, no real notes here. The defense did give up the occasional play. Again, you're not going to completely shut a team out too often, right? You knew there was going to be a push from the Giants. The Giants did get that push. They did end up getting into the red zone 3 times. One was on that kind of meaningless drive at the end. One was on a drive where they fumbled at the 5-yard line, and the other they scored a touchdown. So they did get some stuff going. But yeah, I mean, DeVito struggled in this game. I didn't think he was horrible, but it was tough for him out there. It was tough for the Giants out there. I think that getting Jamel Dean back, that's just huge. It just is. Getting another corner, getting healthier, completely changes how this defense works. And I do think that we don't have great depth at the corner position at all. So being healthy with Zion McCollum and Jamel Dean, it's a completely different defense. It just is, because now it's not like you have to completely shift guys to one side and leave McCollum on an island. Like, you can mix and match. You can dial up these pressures. Whitehead did get hurt in this game. That's not ideal, but they do have a little bit more depth in the safety thing, especially with bringing Mike Edwards back. So hopefully that's okay. I do think this defense looked better. Again, I mean, there wasn't great offense here. It's a bad football team that you're playing in the Giants. And this is the Giants, who are a bad football team and are in kind of a weird week where they just lost their starting quarterback on top of it. So what you got to do is you got to take advantage, and that's what the Buccaneers were able to do. So, hey, a win is a win. I'm trying to think of who guys I should shout out here, but really, everyone played great. I guess the one guy I'll shout out is I thought Kalijah Kancey was really good. That move he had on the sack, no one really talked about it because there was an unblocked guy due to the blitz. But if you look at him, he has a guy one-on-one, and he just gets around him immediately. Really good game from him. Good game by everybody. I mean, this was a dominant victory. Got to make the extra point after Baker Mayfield does the Tommy DeVito dance. But other than that, really good victory. So again, we'll see how things go moving forward. This is a game they needed to win. Don't look now, but they're only a game out of the NFC South, and Washington lost. That matters, because if Washington, they're 7-5 right here. If they go 3-2 down the stretch, that means that even if Atlanta is able to kind of get right and win 11 games or even just win 10 games, we won't have the tiebreaker over them, but we do have the tiebreaker over Washington. So if Washington gets to 10 wins, and we get to 10 wins, that still keeps us in contention. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know, because Washington plays Atlanta, which they could lose. They play the Eagles, which the Eagles will be favored. Play the Saints, Titans, the Cowboys. Those are games you expect them to win, but as we saw this week, you never know, and even the Cowboys beat them this week. So that's kind of where you're at. I think for the Buccaneers, that's also what you have to look at, is you talk about the easy schedule, and okay, they have, they're 5-6 with 5 winnable games on the resume, on the schedule, but again, you play the Panthers next week. That's a game that early in the season we put as a lock for a win. It is not that way anymore. The Panthers nearly beat the Chiefs. That is a game. It's a game the Buccaneers will be favored to win, even though it's in Carolina, but it will not be as easy as this game was. It just won't. You have the Raiders, who, as of recording this video, about to be halftime, they are beating the Broncos, so they're a team that can win games as well. The Cowboys, who beat the Commanders this week, and then the Panthers again. Those are 4 games you expect them to win, but you never know. So huge to get this win, huge to get a blowout. It is still impressive to blow out a team in the NFL. It's hard to win in the NFL, and also to play the Saints the final game of the season. So can they go 5-1? The Chargers is the one you look at as a loss. If you can flip that game, make it a win, that really gives you a big advantage. Who knows if they'll be able to pull it off, but as of right now, keeping hope alive. It's going to be tough if you lose 2 games down the stretch, but you're going to be favored in all but one of them. So, big win here. Season's still alive, and we won a game. Feels fun again. Time to celebrate. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.